All right, some more bad news for the crew of Boeing's Starliner spacecraft. Their 8-day mission to the International Space Station has now turned into an 8-month ordeal. NASA announced that astronauts Sonny Williams and Butch Wilmore will have to stay up there until at least February of 2025. They've been aboard the ISS since June as Boeing engineers looked into issues with the Starliner during launch. After a formal safety review, NASA determined the duo will hitch a ride on a SpaceX Dragon craft next year. Joining me now to talk about this, retired NASA astronaut Leroy Chiao and CNN aerospace analyst Miles O'Brien. Guys, great to see both of you. Leroy, we sometimes complain about delays at the gate at the airport, 30 minutes, an hour, hour and a half. That's nothing compared to this.
Well, that's true. This is more like the airplane's going to circle for another 6 months, right?
Yeah.
Butch and Sonny, though, they are consummate professionals. They certainly weren't expecting this when they launched, but they both flown long-duration missions. They know how to operate on the space station, and they're going to be fine. And, the bottom line, too, is astronauts like to be in space, and even though this is going to impact their personal plans, it's never bad for an astronaut to be in space.
Yeah, Miles, but how did it come to this? I mean, it must be embarrassing for Boeing that these astronauts are going to be coming home on a SpaceX spacecraft. I mean, it is just unbelievable.
Yeah, no one wants to be involved in a Gilligan's Island plot, which is what we've got here. A 7-day cruise that extended quite a bit. For Boeing, this is a big black eye. What they have in the case of Starliner, by any objective measure, is a lemon of a spacecraft. And you've got thrusters which cannot be relied upon, thrusters which are absolutely essential for the safe return of that capsule. You want to make sure it doesn't come in too hot, or for that matter, skip off the atmosphere of the Earth and never make it home. So those thrusters have to fire, and there's no way to predict that they will at this point. And so this was the only rational decision.
And Leroy, why is it taking so long, if you can help us understand that, and what's it going to be like?
Well, sure. Part of the problem is it took a long time to troubleshoot the Starliner, to try to recreate the situation on the ground, to understand it and figure out how to mitigate those risks. Finally, at the end of the day, the NASA engineers were not comfortable with it, which is why this decision was taken. And so now it's a matter of, you can't just produce another spacecraft quickly. So what's the most expeditious thing to do? We'll take 2 crew members off of the 4-member crew that's going to launch next month, and we'll roll in Butch and Sonny to do their duties that they would have been doing aboard the station for the 6-month mission. And then we'll bring those 4 home in February. And that's why the timetable has moved the way it has. So they're essentially going to take the place of 2 of the crew members who are going to launch on Crew 9, SpaceX Crew 9.
Yeah, I mean, and Miles, that goes to my next question, which is the ISS equipped for this, to deal with 2 astronauts who weren't going to be there for this amount of time? I mean, I suppose if they were replacing other astronauts on a temporary basis, that there's the answer to your question. But I mean, this, wow. I mean, I can't imagine what's going through their minds.
Well, Leroy has some personal experience in this. He was on a mission where they were basically running out of food, so you should ask him about that. But in this case, these astronauts were told to leave their suitcases behind to make way for a spare part for the International Space Station, the urine recycling system. So they went up there without a change of clothes. Now, since then, some cargo missions have arrived, and besides, as Leroy will attest, there's lots of stores. Basically, they're good for 4 months times 4 crew members at any given moment. However, Leroy, tell them about what it was like on that diet you had to do.
Yeah, I was going to say, Leroy, what was that like?
Well, actually, when we got on board for Expedition 10, we didn't realize till about a month in or so, or a couple months in, that our buddies on Expedition 9 had gotten into our food. And so suddenly we had a food shortage. We rationed food for about 5 weeks, I think, and we had about 1,200 calories of real food. We had plenty of calories because they left us all the candy bars and the desserts, which is good if you're a kid, I guess. But it was sure nice to see that resupply ship arrive. But as Miles said, there should be plenty of stores on board. Yeah, they didn't have much of a change of clothes, but the station has a good supply of just like the blue, regular blue T-shirts that you don't really see because we put on the nicer shirts when the cameras are on. But they should at least be able to, wear the blue T-shirts around and have a store of clean supplies like that.
Yeah, you can't exactly go to the front desk for an extra toothbrush, I guess, when you're in one of these situations. And it makes me wonder, do they have the ability to wash your clothes up there? I mean, I guess, forgive me for asking a silly question, Miles, how does that work? I mean...
well, no showers. As Leroy will tell you, you do a lot of wiping down. And the clothes are essentially disposable. There's no washing machine. So those go out with the outbound
no dry cleaner.
Supply ships. Yeah, no dry cleaner at all. No.
Man, oh man, Leroy. I mean, this is this is why we call them astronauts. They are just absolute heroes. Everything that they go through, and hats off to these astronauts. They're gonna have some stories to tell when they get home, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. You go up, like you said, expecting to stay up there for 8 days or so, and I know that they had plans for after coming back, and those are all been put on hold. But as I said, it's okay because these folks like being up there. They like being up on the ISS, and it's an opportunity that they didn't have before. So you can look at it, glass half full or half empty.
Absolutely. All right. Very good. Leroy, Miles, we'll focus on the half full. It's a Monday. We need to do that. All right. Thanks to both of you very much. We appreciate it. Get those guys some extra jammies while we're at it. All right. Thanks so much.